In today's video, guys, we are going to be taking a look at how you too can create spectacular container gardens just like the one in your garden center. We will look at combinations that work for full sun, part sun, and shade. We'll also take a look at the names of the plants and the best technique that's going to give you great results. My name is Marlene. Welcome to my home and garden channel. Now let's take a look. So one common thing about spectacular container gardens is that they have lots of dimension. And there's a reason for that. There is a combination that works really well and gives you a lot of effect. And that is how the plants are placed and the choices that you make. And that's going to be three main types of growing habits: the thriller, the filler, and the spiller. And just to give you an idea of what that looks like, right here, this is the thriller. The thriller is a plant that's tall and it's very eye-catching, and it raises well above and lifts your eye up in the container. The filler is a plant that fills in the space, and those are usually pretty and eye-catching as well too, but lower. And then you have the spiller that comes over to the, spills over the sides, and it just makes it absolutely wonderful and full. So when you see everything together, it's a great stimulation for your eyes and it really pulls you in. So take a look at this one right here and see, even at this point in the video, if you can recognize what is what. If you can spot the thriller, the filler, and the spiller, and see how it really helps with the appearance. Bear in mind also too that when you're putting plants in containers, that they need to be in similar water requirement. Say if you have a plant that likes lots of water, you need to have it with other plants that like the same thing. The same is true for their light needs, and we'll take a look at those individually. But just to show you, for example, these succulents right here, that they all are not requiring lots of water, and so they work very well together. And even though they are succulents, because I have lots of people who love succulents, I do, to a certain degree, you'll see the combinations right here. So you can take a look again to see why it has that dimension, because of how they added them. You can have 2 of 3. 3 out of the 3 really is best, but it doesn't always have to be the case. This right here is one of my favorite container gardens that I did, and I think you will agree with me, it has lots of dimension. The begonias right here in the middle would be the fillers, the caladiums would be the thriller, and these can be planted as bulbs. So there's some of them, if you have enough time in the season, you can plant the bulbs and then they will come up. If you don't have enough time, then you can always buy the plant that's already a start, and you can do it that way. But you can see how dramatic these leaves are. They don't have to have flowers, just something that really pulls your eye in and raises it up. And then on here we have the creeping Jenny, which just spills over. Beautiful. Right here now, this is how I started with this same container, and it's good to buy them in smaller sizes to save money if you have the time. If you don't, you go larger, so that way you get quicker results. And just to show you this one right here, this is a beautiful one that was done with hydrangeas, and it's a very large container, so some of them, depending on what you're doing, you'll need to have really large containers, just depending on what you're working with. And these are actually for part shade, but we'll take a look at them individually. These are some right here that are for full sun, but I just wanted to show you, even before we get to specific examples, that you can also apply the same technique for hanging baskets, because right here, the red geraniums at the top would be the thriller, then you have the white petunias that would be the filler, and you have the white bacopa, which is a spiller plant that comes over to the side. It's also good for like your window boxes. So there are different ways that you can, have it come in your garden. You can also use it for drought tolerant plants like these that I did in a previous video last season, just showing you plants that combine very well with the rest of the flowers in your garden. So bear your color schemes in mind as well too when you're doing it, so everything kind of works, together in concert, as they say. This is a close-up look of what it was looking like there. These over here, you can see how they're looking here as well too, more hydrangeas. But let's talk about part shade. So or part sun, I should say. So for part sun, these right here are a good example of a thriller that you can use. These are calla lilies, and they're tall and they're beautiful, and they will pull your eye up. Over here now, these are some coleus, and you can see they have many different types, and they look smaller right now, but as the season wears on, they're going to get taller and taller and more beautiful. They produce some tiny spike flowers, but And you can keep them on there. Some people snip them off, but they're really pretty. But either way, they get larger and taller and they pull your eye in. So the hydrangeas are in this one here. So if you like hydrangeas, this is a good one to have them be the thriller plant in your container. Another one for part sun, this is cordyline right here. So if you're going for a more tropical look, then this is an excellent choice. And quite often when you buy them, you'll see them in containers that have more than one if they're not too large. So you can always make multiple containers for your garden, maybe one on either side of your door, or if you're putting them in your flower beds, you can just rest them there like that. This is a good combination for that, and this is called Kalanchoe. Another lover of part sun or part shade, as we say. You can see the beautiful, choices that you have for those. Just look at how cute the little flowers are. But when they come together and you put multiple ones in there to fill out the container, they are so gorgeous. And then over here, we have some cyclamen. These are also part shade plants, and they combine really, really well. And these are actually perennials. Given the right care, they will come back for you for many years. And just to show you a combination of the cordyline and the kalanchoe, so you can see how beautiful that can look, and you can create this look. And we'll take a look at containers further in the video. Here's another one for part sun again. This is called bloodleaf. You can see what it looks like, little speckles on there. Another one again is a polka dot plant. This is also a good filler as well. So that don't necessarily have to have flowers. It could just be leaves that are very, colorful and real pretty, lots of texture. And it helps you out a lot. And you can see as you get the smaller ones, it costs you less to get it together that way. And I just think that this is such an unusual plant, and it is so beautiful. They look a lot like the bloodleaf, but they're actually, believe it or not, in different plant families. Hard to believe, but they are. How similar they look there. Just take a closer look, guys, to see that leaves definitely work really well without, flowers coming on there as well. Another good filler for part shade is begonias, and I cannot say enough about these. You saw them in the previous one that I showed you just now on my porch. But then for this, the spillers, this is a good one here that works. Asparagus fern. Next week you have the vinca van, and again these are all for part shade that we're looking at right here, or part sun as they'll describe it sometimes. And these work really, really well. They spill over to the sides and they just look so gorgeous. Ivy is another one again, and bear in mind, guys, that when you're putting the spillers in, you can just put one in, or you can maybe put one on either side, which I did in mine. And eventually they actually came together and just looked like one thing flowing over the side. This is another one here as well that's good for part shade, and that is Tradescanta, and you can, or zebra plant as it's called, and you can use that as well. Another one of my favorite here, this is Creeping Jenny, and I just love this plant. I really, really do. And it is a perennial in, milder winter climates, so it will come back for you. Now we're moving over to the ones that actually are sun lovers, thrillers. This thriller is Coleus, same family as the Amaranth family, like Callaloo and all the other ones that you may know that are belonging to that family. Another option too for the full sun ones would be like your Canna lilies right here. Not true lilies, but they are called that quite often, and they are just so colorful. So if you want a more tropical look, then this would be a good one to put in your container. They grow pretty large, some of them, so check on the size, like the height that they grew to on the tags that they provide for you. Another one for full sun would be geraniums, and this is kind of like an old-time favorite. Maybe your grandmother may have had one, or your mother. They're really, really pretty, and they work so well. Just so many colors available too. You have different shades of pink, red, whites, light pinks, and so on. Another good thriller that actually loves full sun is Angelica. And as you can see, there are lots of colors available for this plant as well too. And they grow to a reasonable height. So they look really, really nice. And as it shows you on the sign there, 6 or more hours of sun. So they're able to tolerate that. And they work really, really well. Lots of choices. And I think they're really pretty. My husband is helping me out here by holding it up to show you what it looks like. Another one that sometimes get overlooked is ornamental grass. This is fountain grass. It's not flowering yet, but these are also, especially if you're in a drought area, you need drought tolerant plants, these are some good ones that you can use. And I just wanted to pause for a moment to say that if you've never subscribed to my channel before, I do hope that you will subscribe and hit the notification bell twice so you never miss an upload. You can follow along on my different garden tours, tips, and topics. And I like when you ask questions, and I follow up with them for you as much as I can. And if you also have any tips that I may have missed or any examples, you can leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to follow up on those for you. Now looking at the fillers for full sun areas, these are some petunias, and boy are they many of these. You have petunias that actually have a spiller habit, but these are the mounding ones, and they'll tell you if it's a wave petunia, then it's for the spillers. Anything else is going to be the filler that's going to be filling out the spaces, and they just do so well in that way. These are some marigolds right here, and marigolds have so many purposes in the garden. I absolutely love them, and if you've followed my channel for a while, you know I've done a couple of videos on them. You know how useful they are both in your flower garden as well as in your vegetable garden, so they have a dual purpose. They have some larger ones, the African marigolds. I myself prefer the smaller ones because I think they fluff out a little bit more than these do. And sometimes these grow a little bit taller too, but it just depends on what you're trying to do. This one is Sun Patience. Personally, I prefer them for part shade, but they can also work for full sun, and they're really pretty. Now, as far as the spillers go, here's a really good one that likes full sun, and that is Purple Heart. And that has been a perennial in my area for a few years. It doesn't come back like for many years, but for a few years it does come back if it's cut back and covered over with mulch in the fall. So I think it's a really good one, and it has some tiny pink flowers, but of course we grew it mainly for the leaves. Very pretty. Here's another gorgeous one again. This is Verbena, and this is a drought tolerant plant as well, so great for those, warmer areas. And there are many different colors. I'm just showing you one type that they had here that you can use. Just divide them out from the container and spread them out. Here's another one which I mentioned a little bit earlier as well too, and this is Bacopa, likes full sun, and you have different colors available for it as well. And then you can see how it's spilling over to the side. And next over here we have, this is called Mexican Heather, and this is also another pretty one as well. So it doesn't flow as much, but regardless, it is still having that spiller habit for you. And I just wanted to thank you all for helping me get to another milestone. I am now selling merchandise on my channel. All you have to do is just go to the home page and you scroll to the right. Under the tabs that are there, the one that says store is where you'll find the items. So just take a look to see if there's anything that interests you. Thank you all so much for the support that you do give to my channel. It means a lot. Now let's get back to these plants. So moving along, guys, now we're taking a look at some of them that are for shade, and be sure to stick around too for feeding needs as well as containers, soil, and we'll have lots of those, additional information for you further in the video. So keep watching. But these are hostas. They're absolutely wonderful, and there's so many different varieties of them. They like full shade. They can tolerate it. They do spread out a little bit though, so give a little space between them and whatever filler you're going to be putting in there. And again, guys, you don't have to have all three, but if you have 2 of the 3 types of the thriller filler, it helps a lot than just to have just one type in your container. Either way, they're beautiful, but it just is more spectacular, more dramatic when you have at least 2 or perhaps 3. This is a good combination for hostas as well. It likes shade. This is Japanese painted fern. Very pretty leaves right there. And you have to allow a little space for these as well too, because they are both perennials and they will multiply as time goes by. You see the little flowers right there on the hostas. Hummingbirds absolutely love those. A good filler as well too for your shade plants would be Impatiens. It's just amazing that plants that don't get as much sun, these Impatiens, that they do so well, and they have so many beautiful colors, and they just fluff out and look so beautiful as the season goes along. Now let's look at some containers. Of course, you can get, fancy containers that cost you a little bit more. You can get the more simpler ones, but either way, just work your color scheme, see what complements the other that you're doing. And you can see that they need to have holes in the bottom. The one on the left there, that's actually a self-watering can. Actually, both of them are. So it has a little lid. You'll see the little lid like a little lip at the bottom, and that's how you know that it's a self-watering one. So the water will be controlled and it will drain away for you. So don't worry too much if you see it looking like that. If it's just flat and you don't see a lid at the bottom, you'll need to put holes in your container, because if there are no holes in there, the water is going to collect, and then when the water collects, your roots can't breathe. You're going to get root rot. It's going to be stinky and it's going to die on you. And see, they even show you if there's, you know, you can put holes in the bottom. So always look for those to see if you need to put holes or if it's self-watering. Over here now we have this one that looks like a little whiskey barrel right there. So it just depends on what you're doing and the style that you're going for. Is it more formal like these urns or more casual, you know, just depending on what you're doing. So let's talk about soil. Soil choice is very important. You will need to have potting soil mix, or you can do some kind of combination between your compost, a little bit of garden soil, and your potting mix. If you put your container plants in garden soil alone, it's going to be too heavy for them and they're not going to do very well. So do try and see if you can get potting soil only, and it does come with fertilizer in there already. It's already in it. Or if you just wanted to do a little mixture, you know, as you get better at doing that. And this over here is me planting one for my recent spring porch video. And I'm sure at this point, guys, you can figure out which is which, you know, which is the spiller, which is the filler, and which is the thriller. And I had so much fun doing this. So you can always go back and check. I'll link it at the end for you, actually showing you my spring porch video when I did a makeover, taking it from winter into spring. And you can look and see how it was done. And you get the step-by-step of the different things that I used. And guys, if you're liking this video so far, be sure to give me a thumbs up. And if there's anyone you think it can help, I would ask that you have it, you know, share it out with them so that way they can get the information and they can benefit. Plus, it also helps to give a good signal to YouTube that, you know, you're enjoying the video, that you're learning something from it, and they will automatically send it out to other people as well. So this just took me a few minutes to do. But, you know, carefully select your plants. Make sure that you know, get the colors that you want. Because bear in mind, you can go monochromatic if you want, where you're just using one color, you know, just one color throughout. You can, another example of monochromatic would be these. They're just going for green right here. So they have a filler and a thriller, which is perfectly fine. But it's all green right here. And if that's what you want, that works too. Another good recommendation is using colors from the opposite side of the color wheel. So I have purple, I have pink, and I have orange. And you'll get to see those as they come along in a few weeks. I did plant, but I didn't get a chance to show you the steps. And to see, like, you know, a choice of plants that are out there available to you. I did this recent video, which I'll link at the end for you, where we went plant shopping at Home Depot. So you can get to see a lot of choices that you can make and see how you can combine them so that they work really well for you. Next, we move on to feeding your container gardens. It's very important, guys, that you feed your container gardens because they're not surrounded they don't have surrounding soil to support them. It's just what's in the container, and it can leach out when rain falls or you water them. So be sure to add plant food, and you can decide the one that you want. This is what it looks like here. This one is water soluble, so you just mix it out in water. Usually it's 2 tablespoons of the food to 2 gallons of water. You mix it out, and I'd say water them maybe like every 2 to 3 weeks. If the weather is extremely hot, kind of back it off a little bit, maybe like once per month, maybe like in the hot months of, you know, late July and August, you can back it off a little bit. But once you mix it, you just pour it on. It's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Some people use organic fertilizers, banana peel water, compost tea, whatever works for you. But your container plants, they do very well if you feed them. And I just wanted to say a special thanks to my newest channel member, Yolene. Support like yours helps my channel to go a long way, so I truly appreciate you. So guys, I think that after watching this, well, I'm hoping that you will be able to create some really nice container gardens, you know, to beautify your space. This is a gorgeous one here with the calla lilies and the creeping Jenny spilling over to the side. And of course, you also have the ones that are, you know, drought tolerant that you can, you know, plant, and they work really well for you. If you wanted to use the same stuff for your hanging baskets, you could do the same thing there as well. So I do want to thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you all the best in your garden journey. Be sure to follow me. If you've never subscribed, be sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell twice so that you will never miss an upload. Happy gardening. Take care, and I do hope to see you in the next one.